Waiting for Mike to come back.
There he is.
Good.
$5 million.
Good evening, council and our guests. This is the regular monthly meeting of the Municipal Council for the Municipality of the County of Colchester, January 29. And I now call this meeting to order and ask our CAO for roll call, please.
Thank you very much. So we'll start with the chair, Mayor Blair,
Present.
Councillor Weatherby,
Present.
Deputy Mayor Sanson,
Present.
Councillor Richardson,
Present.
Councillor Cooper,
Present.
Councillor Johnson,
Present.
Councillor Liggett, Councillor Martell,
Present.
Councillor Patton,
Present.
Councillor Benoit,
Present.
Councillor Fletcher,
Present.
Councillor Kennedy. Present. I'm Chair, you have quorum.
Thank you. In peace and friendship and in the spirit of truth and reconciliation, I acknowledge that we live in Mi'kmaq, the traditional and ancestral lands of the Mi'kmaq. The first item on our agenda is a site plan appeal. Lands of Brookside Developments Incorporated, lot number 3, College Road, Bible Hill. And I'm calling this public hearing to order, respecting a site plan approved by the Municipal Development Officer, Colin Forsyth. The site plan application was made by Mr. Dylan Blankhorn for a property located on College Road, Bible Hill. The site plan has been appealed by neighbors, so council becomes the decision-making body and will decide to either uphold or overturn the decision of the development officer. So I'm going to ask Colin, our development officer, to address this, please.
All right, thank you, Mayor and Council. Get this loaded up here. All right, before we get into the nitty-gritty of the application, I just wanted to go over a couple things about what a site plan is compared to some other things. A development agreement, that's not usually where you're going to see me up here. That starts with our planners and PC. Goes through that process. That's more of a high-level development. We use the land use bylaw as a guide for that, but you're able to pull in different requirements and, trade parking for green space and come up with different agreements. And at the end of the day, it's an agreement between you, council, and the developer or the property owner. Variance, which you'll see me up here on occasionally, that's when we have our land use bylaw rules and vary some of the requirements. So that's if someone wants to go closer to a sideline than our bylaw permits, we can vary that down. That's not usually a case just because somebody wants a variance to get one. There used to have to be a reason why they want one. And that site plan approval, that's kind of in between, well, nothing to do with the variance really. It's just a smaller version of the development agreement. It's all the requirements are laid out in the bylaw, and it's for a medium-sized development. And there are extra requirements. So it's when you go to build a house, it's what we call an as-of-right development. It's you meet all the bylaws, we give you a permit. This site planning process adds on that. It becomes a public process where there are appeals and notification, and like I mentioned, extra requirements in order to do that. So that's what we'll get in today. And just one more thing before I introduce that development is I just wanted to explain how the new bylaw is going to play a part in this situation. So previously, under the old bylaw, this property we're going to talk about was zoned R2C and only allowed for basically a single unit dwelling because it was a vacant lot. The C in R2C stands for conversion. So if you had an existing dwelling, you can convert it to have a second apartment. And the purpose of that zone was to keep neighborhoods looking like the neighborhood. Basically, if it's mostly single unit dwellings, you keep it looking like a single unit dwelling, but you can have a second apartment. So it makes a lot of sense when you're in subdivisions and what have you. The new bylaw with the call for housing and different housing options, when we adopted the new bylaw, a lot of the homes, or it's on the homes, but properties along, say, Dicto and College Road, which is a collector road and a transport road, they were changed to an R3 zone, which allows for up to 4 units as of right, or through site plan approval, which we'll get into, 5 to 8. So that basically, when we changed the bylaw, it opened up development possibilities. And that's why we're here today, basically. So this is a application for site plan approval from Brookside Developments, Dylan Blinkhorn, College Road, very close to the Bible Hill Middle School. It is for a 8-unit apartment building, 2-story. And as I mentioned, the zone is R3, which allows 4 units as of right, or through the special approval process, up to 8 units. You can do more, and that would be through the development agreement. All right, so this is some renderings of the building. Don't pay attention to the grass and the parking, because that's just thrown in, but this is what the building is hoping to basically have it look like. It's an 8-unit building, 2 stories, as I mentioned. There's 1 1-bedroom and 7 2-bedroom units in this building. The lot itself has been around for a while. There used to be a house, which has now been long gone. The lot itself is 70 feet wide by 200 feet deep. You can see from the zoning, the darker red is the R3 zone, which is again all up and down College Road. And then when you get into the subdivisions, we have a more restrictive, lower density type of development for that. The green is the village parkland with the trail, skating pond in winter, and then the yellow is of course the school. Up the road a little bit more, we do have some higher type of development there that's been there a while. Some 4 units Dave Arnberg developed probably 20 years ago, and one of our first condo developments. It's a couple 2 units on one property. It's done through condo. So this is an air photo view of the lot and the neighboring. The first 2 there that look similar are 2 units, I believe, and then the single unit home next door. And I think across the street is mostly single unit as well. So as I mentioned, with the site plan, there's some extra requirements for you to get a permit, basically. So, and that's what there's more than 4, but they kind of gel in together. So one is that your parking and equipment, your storage areas, they're not close to the property line. They're not in the required setbacks, and you screen them from neighboring uses. So this is his proposal. The gray is the building. And then, of course, we have a driveway going to the back where the parking is. The X's are a fence going around the property outside to screen the parking and the garbage recycling area. Another requirement of the site plan approval is 25% of your property has to be open space, and he has done that. He's a little bit over, about 30%. He's retaining. Of course, we want trees kept when we can, vegetation maintained when it's possible, and then added landscaping to beautify aesthetic purposes. I mean, it's kind of a hard thing to do. A lot of people like to clear a lot and then come in to talk to us, so there's not a lot of trees left over for us to say, hey, you should have kept that because it's already gone. But a lot of people are cutting down trees now for, you know, giving themselves a buffer from fire, windfalls and stuff too. So it's kind of a balancing act basically when we get into the keeping the vegetation. And of course we do encourage you to provide more garden and bushes and fruit trees when you can. And then another large part of site plan consideration is the stormwater. So normally when you're building a house or say a 4-unit in this zone, you don't have any stormwater management work as a requirement. But as part of the site plan, it is. So in this case, an engineer will basically provide us a stormwater management plan. He signs off on it. He'll sign off that it was installed correctly, and hopefully he did his job right, and the neighbors won't have any stormwater management issues. So, yeah. So this is just superimpose what it would kind of look like to give you an idea of scale and setbacks with the neighbors there. That's basically it for an introduction of that.
Thank you very much. Mr. Clerk, have the guidelines of the Municipal Government Act regarding advertising of the public hearing been followed?
Yes, Madam Chair, they have.
And before we go further, I want to remind our councillors that this public hearing is council's opportunity to hear the site plan decision and concerns of residents so notified. So are there any, does anyone have any questions of our development officer at this point in time? Councillor Cooper.
Thank you, Mayor Blair. Here to Colin, please.
Yes.
So Colin, how close are we to the line on the left-hand side there?
That is about, I believe it's, let me go up here. 6.8 feet, which is, our minimum is 2 meters, which is 6.6 feet. So it's a couple more inches extra. So it's basically at the minimum setback there.
Okay. Yeah, I was reading the letter that came in there. Part they were pointing out was it was so close, the building was high, so it was looking right over at them. So I guess my obvious question is, you see this in a lot of places, the parking is out front and everything, and the building's further back to avoid doing what's going on here. Is there any thought to doing that?
Well, the way the bylaw is written now, we actually encourage parking to be at the rear.
Okay.
With a lot of development. And I believe that would be for aesthetic reasons. So you don't have it, you're not looking at a big parking lot. With this new bylaw, I forgot to mention that we did reduce setbacks. We did reduce lot size requirements to help with density and what have you. I don't know off the top of my head, but I mean, that is something I suppose we could look at as a possibility, but we do try to keep parking away from neighboring dwellings. So like the lights aren't shining in people's windows when they come and go is kind of a big thing. That's why we require the screening and the fence.
Yeah, I remember we talked about that in another place, didn't we?
Yeah, so it's kind of a balance to which one you do, but I can say that really the way the new bylaw written is, even in the old one, like for apartment buildings, we do encourage parking in the back.
One question, I could.
Yes.
So the stormwater, you say they're gonna develop a plan.
They have a plan.
They have a plan?
Yeah.
So what is, do you know what the plan is?
Basically it's, I mean, I'm not an engineer, so not to explain it like an engineer can, but basically they'll have swales up and down the sides. Basically, and I believe they're going to basically direct the water to the road. So it's not going on the neighboring property.
Okay, so the water is directed to the road.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Leggett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. What, has the minimum setback center line of the road to the front of the property changed?
Yeah, so with the new bylaw, in the old bylaw, it was 10 meters, which is 33 feet, and that was reduced to 6 meters, 20 feet.
From the property line?
To the front property line. Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
So that's basically at the minimum as well.
Anything further, Councillor? No? Councillor Martel.
Through you to.
Of course.
One of the concerns that was expressed was about potentially running out of water with the residents' well that had written the letter. What source of water will this building have and what could be done to mitigate that concern?
Water always comes up, as does traffic when any development is proposed. Colchester doesn't have its own water system, so everything other than a town system that comes in Bible Hill is on well water. So yes, we did obviously have a drought condition this year, but we don't really have a mechanism to ask for, like, say, well water testing to confirm if there's enough wells or not. Like, it's basically not out of our scope. You can, when you get into a development agreement, which is again a higher level approval, you can ask for whatever you want. But in this case, we're just following the bylaw, and it doesn't mention wells at all. So there's really not a lot, I don't think, that we can do to ensure that, droughts won't happen again, obviously, but that a developer can do anything to ensure that.
Okay. Councillor Sanderson, or Deputy Mayor Sanderson.
Thank you, Mayor. Through you to Colin. In the interest of privacy for the neighbors, is there an opportunity for the developer to plant some trees? I know it'll take a while for those trees to get larger along both sides.
There is just not a lot of room. So he's six and a half feet away from that sideline. And there will be some, like a swale or something put in there for water. I'm assuming he'll get up and talk after me. We can always
Right.
add something
Yes.
like that, but on the other side, you're basically got a driveway and there's no room.
Yeah. And some of these questions will be answered when we have the applicant speak. Councillor Weatherby.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you to Colin. For more general information. In another life, I lived in that neighborhood. And we had a drilled well for 20 years. That neighborhood has, as far as I knew, the whole time I was there was never an issue with water. There's a good aquifer. Runs all the way down through there, and the gate, Canadian Springs are both taken from that aquifer, so. There's all, as far as I know, there's all kinds of water there.
There hasn't been that I'm aware of, a lot of complaints about developments happening and people's well having issues. I mean, I'm sure it has happened somewhere, sometime, but it's just not a common thing we hear in our office. I mean, again, it's always concerned with neighborhoods, and I understand that. It's just not a prevalent thing that we hear about in our office. So.
Thank you. And Councillor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. I remember when Joe Debert built this house, that'd be 50-some years ago, and I'm sure these are his kids, I'm guessing, all of it, a long time ago. Councillor Kennedy was just across the street pretty much from this development, so I'd like to hear what he has to say on it, but concerns that Taylor and Anna dare address here, noise and traffic. I don't think it's gonna change noise and traffic a lot. That's been a busy street for a long time. Just because you've got Rivers Drive developments further out, you've got Wexford further out, you've got the Coldstream, Meadowland, so that has turned into a very busy street. So traffic and noise probably change. Privacy, well, you know, I look at, I believe Dave Kim put the two ones on the left, they're beside it, they're both duplexes. The Armbirds are just a further down, but I remember when Claire Cloud was involved with the condos just down further. I think there's 2, 4, 6, I think there's 8 units there. There's 4 nicely duplex package properties in there. So again, they've been there for probably 15 to 20 years too. So as far as the neighborhood goes, it's not really changing much of the neighborhood. Yeah, it's a lot that's been there when the house been pulled down. And obviously, Mr. Blackburn wants to build there, but I don't see this going to change the character of the neighborhood that much by putting this development in there. And they also refer to 6.5-foot fence. Maybe Mr. Bunko will bring that up. So that, is that something that will be put in there? Sure.
Where you can kind of see the X's, it's not clear. I can switch this. It's clearer.
Okay.
So basically where the parking area is in the back, you can see a red X, that's where that fence is there to basically protect from the parking and the garbage recycle area.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that'll be on that one area there.
Okay.
But no, I don't see this as a fit for the community size if it's the only one out there. So that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Questions? Councillor Kennedy?
Well, now I have to say something to me.
Well, we will be hearing from the applicant and,
But through you,
well,
Mayor.
yes, certainly. Yes, of course.
I don't see water as a problem over there because I think we're on the lake. And everybody has got, 50 feet down, has all kinds of water. The other thing is those 2 houses on the left, they're duplexes, am I correct?
I believe they're two.
And they're rented. Yeah. And the only concern I would have would be the back, and I'm not sure what it joins in the back.
In behind these properties.
Yeah.
The parkland that the village owns, in the green,
No.
Okay,
that's all the village owns on that green space.
okay, so that's not a problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And as far as the look in the community, that's not a problem either, because there's all kinds of apartments right along there. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor, and thank you, Colin. And I know that we do have Mr. Blankhorn here in the audience. And Mr. Blankhorn, would you like to speak on the issue, please? And then I'll ask you to take the seat. And Colin, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Blair, and all the councillors. For you that don't know me, my name's Dylan Blakehorn, the owner of Brookside Developments. Grew up in Brookside, Bobble Hill area. Yeah, and I purchased this property this summer. Actually caught my eye when the county did decide to change the zoning in the area, trying to get more density in that area. Yeah, I think Colin did a great job explaining the property. The only thing I'd like to add is I did realize that there's a single dwelling on the right side, and then obviously the duplex is on the left. So I did try to move the building kind of more towards the duplexes. And yeah, like you mentioned, there will be a 6'6" fence, or six foot fence.
2 years.
Yeah, 6.5 foot fence. It's gonna start kind of right at the I guess the parking area and go all the way rearward. And I think there was you guys mentioned about the parking in the front. I think I talked to Colin about that, and I think he said that for aesthetic reasons that just all the cars parked in the front, and just it's hard to kind of, there'd be big snow piles, garbage there'd be a waste bin in the front too, and you know, sometimes it gets messy. So yeah, so we decided to put the parking in the rear. As far as trees go, there was a lot of, I would say the last hurricane, we lost a lot of the trees in that on that site. We do plan, I'm gonna spend the extra money too. I'm not gonna buy the little $20 ones. I'm gonna spend the money. I'll buy I think they start out at 8 feet or so. So they're about a 5-year-old tree, in the back area there, and then in the front. Yeah, if anyone has any more questions too, feel free, and I'll answer them to the best of my ability anyway.
Thank you. And councillors, questions? Councillor Kennedy.
Just one question from there to you, Dylan. What's the rent cost of the 2 units and the?
So the breakdown is gonna be, like Colin mentioned, is 7 2-bedroom units. They all have 1 bath and then the single 1 bed. But so I'm not a big Halifax developer that's gonna come in and, you know, hire a bunch of people out of town, and it's gonna cost a fortune. I use all locally sourced trades. So I believe I can actually build quite a bit cheaper than say other people and other developers. So we're gonna probably the starting rent's gonna be about 1,400 for the 1 bedroom, and then probably about 15 for the 2 beds. But I did do a lot of work with the building itself for energy efficiency, and they say right now I'm about 40% above the actual code. So the power bill's going to be electric heat, but with heat pumps, of course. But I can't see the power bill being very high. So
Just a follow-up question.
Certainly.
Have you done any work on the water? How many wells are you gonna drill?
So yeah, I talked Greg Johnson, drilled that well a number of years ago, and you can look it up online, and it was about 30 gallons per minute it produced at the time. And his exact words, you could put a 50-unit building on that lot and it would be no problem.
Any further questions of Mr. Blankhorn? Councillor Martell.
Thank you, Mayor Blair, to Mr. Blankhorn. Can you share the construction schedule if this was to proceed, what your outlook for the timeline to completion is?
Yeah, so obviously we would like to do it as quick as possible, but you know, it's hard to get guys to work in -20. But if we were successful, I would like to start this in February next month. And, it's looking probably, if everything goes perfect, 6 to 8 months. It's gonna go up pretty quick.
And Deputy Mayor Sanderson.
Thank you, Mayor Blair, through you to Dylan. The front of the building is facing south.
Yeah, a little,
Yeah, so
essentially, yeah.
solar is probably not a great option because the east-west solar on the side, on the roof.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I did look at solar for a few other buildings that I have. Right now, it's just too much of an unknown for me. A few people, I know that they've had it. Sometimes the life of a panel, they're seeing like 10 years. So they sell you on a promise to save money, but some of the cheaper panels that they've been installing is, I just don't want to get into it. Just not enough research yet and on that, but it's something that I would definitely look into in the future for future developments.
And the trees you're considering, are they hardwoods or soft?
Yeah,
Hardwood trees?
yeah.
Yeah.
There, yeah,
Yeah, want to be wind
right.
friendly.
I might do some kind of maybe not a spruce, but something that keeps its leaves in the wintertime in the front of
Oh,
the,
it's
in the front.
softwood. Yeah, okay.
Maybe just to make it look a little bit better all year round, but in the back, I would do hardwood trees,
Okay.
yes.
Great. Glad to hear you're planting trees.
Thank you. And any further questions? Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor
Mr.
Blair.
Glencoe.
Thank you,
Please
Councillor.
have a seat. Mr. Clerk, have any written submissions been received?
Yes, Madam Chair, we have. Yes, Madam Chair, we received one. And so for the record, I was addressed to Colin Forsyth. So this came from Taylor and Ann Dara, 787 College Road, Vinyl Hill. I'm writing to express my urgent concerns about the proposed 8-unit development on Lot 3 College Road. After reviewing the plans, I want to make it clear this project raises serious concerns for us and is not something we can support. First, the development is too large for the area. More residents would mean increased traffic, noise, and added pressures on local services. I'm also concerned about the effect of local wildlife, deer, squirrel, birds, and other animals and their habitat. We have a baby on the way, and the prospect of a long-term construction site directly next to our home is particularly concerning. It would create noise, safety issues, and daily disruption at a time when stability and calm are important. Privacy is another huge issue. Our home currently has a quiet and private setting. The 2-story building next door with windows overlooking our yard and living space would remove that privacy entirely. Unfortunately, a 6.5-foot fence like the one proposed is not much help for a building that would be taller than our home. Finally, a development of this size would change the character of the neighborhood. Replacing open space with large apartment complex would alter the look and feel of the area in a way that many residents would not be prepared for. For these reasons, I strongly and respectfully ask you reconsider this proposed development. Thank you for taking the time and reviewing these concerns, Taylor and Anna Derrick.
Thank you. Are there any residents present who wish to comment at this time? Come forward.
There?
Yes, please. Come on down, Meredith. Yes.
Down?
Yes, please. And you can use the microphone so everyone can hear you.
You want me in here?
Yes, please. I will ask you to state your name for the record.
My name's Meredith McLean, NC. I live at 786, 788. I own that duplex. Yeah, the deer. So that's okay. They're eating us out of house and home now anyways. But I feel bad for the deers. I really do. It's dark place. But I have a concern. Water, not drinking, that could maybe affect me. But I remember when I built my duplex and that hill comes down on the road, okay? And it was bringing a lot of water. It was coming down right in my driveway. So I went after the county and I said, you have to come and do something. They come up and they dug it to put the big rocks. But I'm wondering, you were saying something, or Dylan did something about the water from the front, it's going to come out onto College Road? Did I misunderstand?
That was,
Did you
those
say
were the words
something?
used, I believe,
College
whether it
Road?
was Dylan or Colin.
Colin.
Colin, I believe, yes.
Basically, yeah, so the engineer developed the stormwater to basically manage the water, and that's certainly where it's all pointed.
You know what assume stands for.
Well, that's why we have engineers.
Okay, so will there be another catch basin or something there? You're gonna let it try to hopefully goes down?
So everything in the road is owned by the province, and we don't have jurisdiction or involvement. So apply for the driveway. If the province is
If it does happen, and the water comes over to visit me, then what?
well, I'm sure the province will look at it if it was a situation like that.
Just, I will ask you to address council, please.
For me?
Yes, both of you, yes.
Oh,
Through
sure.
council, through the chair. Okay, so you have some questions on the issue?
Well, my
Just
question-
address the whole council, yes,
Well,
please.
Okay, my question is, what happens if that water that's proposed coming off of this 8 unit comes on to College Road? And the province may own it, but it can only handle so much water, it's not that big of a up in the middle of it, and it comes over on my property into my basements. And then what happens to me? I contact the insurance people, or who do I contact? Who's responsible for this? We're gathering out, somebody must have to answer and make a good answer to it. They can't just guess.
No, this is true. It would all be part of the planning and the site plan, and the engineers would have to sign off on the plan, yes.
Well, I want them to sign off that I wasn't going to end up with a headache over there. That
Understood.
was one of my concerns. And garbage. So the bins will be at the back. There'll be no green composters coming out on College Road. Is that correct?
That's not a question for me to,
Behind the building. And just a note on the water issue,
Yes.
like I said, I'm no engineer, but I do know, talking to the engineer, that the parking lot, the rear parking lot will be paved, and it is graded towards the back of the property, so I know for sure at least half of the lot, the water will be going towards the back of the property, and there is swales in the back for that water.
Well,
And
there
then-
used to be a pond back there.
once again,
Oops.
okay, Dylan will have an opportunity to respond to any questions. So if you
Well,
pose your questions to us and then,
so the water going to the back, that doesn't concern me, and it probably won't a lot of them, because it used to be an area at the very back there that they used to spend paint on. It was a pond. And, but that doesn't answer the questions for coming on that. And I do have one other concern.
yes,
When I built my duplex and I put a shed there, I was not allowed to have a window in it unless I was 9 feet back from the property. That was just a shed. How come this building with, and it's so close to the terrace, like how can they have all these windows and not have a bigger space? I don't understand the space that's like this little, 17-foot driveway going back there. Is that enough room for cars to pass? Is it going to be paved and when? Those are my concerns.
thank you. All right, any, I see no hands or any questions, or no one ask you any questions, but we will address your
I
concerns.
go back here?
Yes, please.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Now, Dylan, Blankhorn, you are the applicant. Are there any points arising here from these questions or other comments that you want to address? Oh, no, wait a sec. Are there any other residents that wish to address this issue? Any other residents in the audience? No. Okay, Dylan, go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Dennis.
I think the two major concerns were the water, obviously in the front of the building, and then the when it's gonna be paved. I did, like I said, I'm not an engineer, but from what he explained to me is right now it's just a lot with trees, so you can't really pick and choose where the water is gonna go. So he designed it so that there is gonna be 50% of the water essentially go towards the back of the property, where she did mention that there is kind of a pond way back in the back. That's where a lot of the water would go, but she mentioned about the water, I guess, off the building and going towards the front and damaging her driveway. I think the engineer wouldn't probably have a problem with it. Would obviously, when we have rain gutters on the property, we can pick and choose a lot of the time where all the rain is gonna go. And what I would suggest, if the engineer is okay with it, is to actually have the rain gutters exit towards the back of the property where the site plan. If she does have a problem with the water in that driveway area, we could, I mean, the building takes up quite a majority of the front footprint. And we can take all that footprint where the water would collect and go on that driveway and direct it to the back of the property. So honestly, it's probably gonna make her water problem better, putting this building there.
Okay. And there were other questions. There was one on garbage. If you would please continue. And there was one on the windows next to the residents next door.
Yeah, the garbage issue, like I mentioned before, the waste is picked up weekly, and then the bins, the recycling bins, that's right beside the garbage as well. So there'd be no, like, I'm responsible, I guess, to pay to get that removed. There's no curbside pickup with anything 4 units or more. And the windows. Sir, can you bring the side view of that again? Your side view. Yeah, so it would be the top. Yeah, so the top right would be the one facing, and I think there's no doors there. They might have made a mistake on the plan. There's no side doors. But I did keep that in mind, and that's why the windows on that side, if you notice, they're kind of smaller and skinny. So it's not a huge, 4 foot by 4 foot window, staring in. And the same as, when someone is driving in the driveway of the duplex, I guess, I don't want to be someone watching me watch TV. So we kind of tried to make the windows so it doesn't give that perception.
Thank you. Any questions? Councillor Johnson?
Thank you, Mayor. Through you to, through Dylan. I see that you've had stewards over to grub that lot off, right? It's been plowed off in the last few days since the snow again. Is it totally, I see the debris is at the back of the lot. It hasn't been removed yet. So how much further back that lot are you intending to clear
Please.
off, or are you pretty much there now?
Come back to the microphone.
I got this question. Are you close to the back of the property?
I would say, Mr. Johnson, it would, about 30 more feet. It goes back to the property line.
Yeah, there's a tree line there now, so you're gonna leave the existing trees that are standing there now? Possibly. Or no?
Yeah, I was gonna try to leave a few bigger trees, but I might take those down and plant 3 new trees just to make them look a little bit better. They're kind of older, and I don't want one to die in 5 years and then have two big ones and then have to plant another one. I think I would probably take them all down and plant 3 new ones so they're all the same size.
So my last question I made through the
Yes,
chair.
certainly.
With the frost in the ground we got right now, and obviously it's been pretty cold. Do you still think you can get a start in February with the great work you've done there now and get some heat to put
So-
things in the ground?
So my plan would be to put the footings, if approved, my plan would be to put the footings in. Put the frost wall in. And build the structure. And then put heat in it. And then pour the floor after. Is what a lot of guys do now.
Okay, thank you. Counselor Cooper.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Blair. You did, Mr. Blackburn.
Yes,
So when you were talking about planting the trees, is there on that 6 foot area on both sides sort of things that you're referring to? Where you plant them?
So on the side of the building.
Yeah.
So, we plan on putting the trees in the back of the building and then, one nicer one in the front. And then the sides are engineered for almost like a swale for the excess water to kind of run off and dissipate before it goes on the neighboring properties.
So the idea of hardwood is really good for, to grow up, they certainly give you privacy, both sides of the thing pretty quick. So the neighbors came to you and said really upset about visibility. Would you work with them to maybe put trees on their side of the line if they were willing to do that?
My whole life's been trying to work with people, so I would 100% work with them if they want to try to put some extra trees
I'm
around.
not sure they'd want to, because it seems like it's pretty clear on their property now, but maybe they
No,
may be
100%,
happy with it once it gets there, and
for sure.
they may not be. And I know I like the design, so. Quite nice.
Thank you.
thank you, Counselor, and thank you. I see no further questions for you, Mr. Blankhorn, so please have a
Thank
seat.
you, Mayor Blair.
You're welcome. And does council have any further questions of our development officer? Colin? Any further questions of our development officer? No? And thank you. Anything respecting the site plan at all? Then is a member of council prepared to put a motion on the floor?
Put a motion on the floor that we accept the building. Am I writing?
Dennis, please.
Would Counselor suggest if you're in support of the project, your motion would be to uphold the decision of the development officer and approve the site plan.
Thank you. That's it.
And do I have a seconder? Seconded by Counselor Weatherby, by Counselor Kennedy, seconded by Counselor Weatherby. That the decision of the development officer be upheld and the site plan be granted. Any further discussion on this motion?
Question.
The question has been called. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Voter.
Oh, we're going to use the clicker.
Oh,
Okay, we're going to vote electronically, guys. All right. Tracy, whenever you're ready. All right. Voting is on. Voting is concluded. And the motion passes unanimously. Thank you, council. Thank you to our development officer and to those people who have addressed the issue. The next item on our agenda is the approval of the agenda. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? I believe there is one, 8A, and that is FCM. FCM Conference. A, FCM Conference. 8B. No. 8B. Any, Councillor Weatherby?
True.
It has been moved by Councillor Weatherby that the agenda be approved as amended, seconded by Councillor Benoit. Any discussion on the motion? Question's been called. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. The motion is carried. The agenda is approved as amended. The next item is approval of the minutes from the meeting held on November 27, 2025. Seems like a long time ago. And I'm prepared to entertain a motion with regards to those minutes, moved by Councillor Benoit, that they be accepted as presented, Councillor, and seconded by Councillor Patton. Discussion on the motion? Question has been called. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. The motion is carried. The minutes of November 27, 2025 are approved as presented. Is there any business arising from those minutes? Seeing none, then we shall move on to our standing committee reports and recommendations. And Deputy Mayor Sanderson, please.
Thank you, Mayor. We have the land purchase for Parkland, Summerhill Place, Upper Onslow.
I wondered, Councillor, if you would do the December 11 one.
I'm sorry, yeah. So, council meeting December 11th, addition to Millbrook Reserve. I move that council provide a release to Millbrook First Nation, confirming that no road reservation exists on PID number 202-06595.
And seconded by Councillor Patton. Discussion on the motion?
Question.
The question has been called. Okay, we will vote. And voting is open. And voting is closed. Motion carries unanimously. And Deputy Mayor, please.
Thank you, Mayor. And this is for January 15th meeting. And it's regarding land purchase for Parkland, Summerhill Place, Upper Onslow. I move that council approve the purchase of the Summerhill Place Lot 5, Upper Onslow, at a purchase price of $49,000, with source of funds being open space fund reserve, and that the mayor and CAO be authorized to sign the purchase and sale agreement.
I have Councillor Weatherby first. Thank you. Moved by Deputy Mayor and seconded by Councillor Weatherby. And yes, all those in favor? No, are you, any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. The vote, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Motion is carried. Deputy Mayor, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Second one is regarding the personnel policy, 6.25, remote work policy. I'm going to do these in two motions. I move that council not approve the amendments as presented to the remote work policy, and the copy of the policy with proposed amendments is attached.
Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Leggett. Discussion on the motion? Okay, then are you ready for the question? Question's been called. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Motion is carried. And the second part, Deputy.
I move that council approves extending the 6-month trial of the remote work policy to 1 year, with an overview of how it worked being provided to council upon completion of the 1 year.
Do I have a seconder for the motion? Seconded by Councillor Kennedy. Discussion on the motion. And Councillor Cooper.
Deputy Mayor.
I would ask you to turn
Oh,
your
sorry.
microphone. Yes, Councillor Cooper.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Blair. I'd like to make a motion to amend this policy. Amend this motion. I'd like to, my amendment would be keep proposed policy on a trial basis. Adopt some key policy enhancements proposed at council committee. Anchor days be reduced from 3 to 1 per week, with this day being Thursday. Departments can set their own additional anchor days if required. In addition, possible remote work days be increased from 1 to 2 days per week at management discretion. It shall be the responsibility of management to ensure that there is no reduction in service to citizens, etc., or loss of interaction between the members of staff, etc. Finally, senior staff be directed to meet with council to find immediate solutions to deal with the space issues in our corridors building. I'll speak to this if I get a seconder.
And do I have a second? Seconder. Seconded by Councillor Johnson. And Councillor Cooper, you wish to address it?
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, wait a minute now. Our solicitor, please, Dennis.
Mayor, through you, I'm not sure the last part of the amendment is in order because it's raising a separate issue from the main issue, which is a remote work policy.
Sorry. I don't address that in my parts.
All right, please do.
My reason behind this is a key issue at the courthouse is overcrowding. I think anybody that spends any time here realize that, talking to see it, talk to staff. I think this could be at least a temporary solution in that fact. We definitely need to address this problem, so need to meet with senior staff ASAP to brainstorm solutions. Also, if we're going to see what this could accomplish, with the overcrowding, my mind is the key issue in this whole thing. Then we need to put in parameters in place to see what it can do. Just leave it at the 1 day a week, put the 2 days a week in there. We can see what that can accomplish. If we had 4 people, it had space for 2. You'd have 2 at home and then the other 2 at home, sort of thing. Yeah. So anyway, let's leave it at that.
Thank you, Councillor, and Councillor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. Just one change to the motion that Councillor Cooper made. He said Thursday when I believe he meant Tuesday being the anchor
Oh,
day.
I say Thursday.
So
You did.
that's the
Yeah.
first thing. that-
Yes, you did, yeah, okay.
So if you're
Correction.
okay with that, then
Yeah.
then we'll change that. But just as a follow-up, I was had a meeting the next morning in Chambers here and Jen was sitting beside me and the first question I asked her, how'd you make out this morning? She said, well, the buzzwords around the water cooler this morning was about what went on last night with this. I said, what was the problem? She said, well, the problem probably wasn't addressed properly. It should have been addressed as quality workspace, overcrowding. And I just made a trip with Jen down to Kentville here probably last month. And they got a 6-year-old building, 20,000 square foot, and the municipality the same size as us. Everybody had their own workspace, their own cubicle, their own name. I walk around this building and down the basement, it's cold, it's damp, it's dungy. You walk in the back door tonight, it's as hot as I probably ever felt it. You walk in other parts of the building and, it's all over the place with the heating and cooling. So I think there's a whole lot more issues, which Councilor Cooper has brought to the forefront here. It's not about we're trying to limit their workspace. And I got it. You know what, when I go in public works and I look at 6 or 7 people in a crowded office that I think, 5 years ago, when I used to go in there, there might be 3 people working in there. Now there's at least 6 and maybe 7, I don't know, but I just look at the building, I'm not here quite a bit and I'm thinking, in 2026, what are we doing? Putting IT sitting behind black cubicles over across the hall and a limited work, that's not right. So I think this, looking back upon what we did earlier on in the month, is that's the real problem. The way I look at it as a counselor, you know what, it's not my job to make sure staff's doing their job, it's the CEOs. And I think we have directors that are quality directors, and I think they have to have staff do what their jobs are and make sure stuff's being done. If it's not being done, I think it goes back to the CEO, then it goes back to us. And that's when we make a decision on the big work days. But, I guess I look at it now and I'm thinking, if the work gets done and everybody's happier and they can do it by working from remotely 2 days a week, I'm all for it. So that's where it probably came from, and that's where people brought this tonight. So thank you.
I know it's certainly been a problem that we have been addressing for years, and there's only so much space, and we understand that. We do have another tenant, of course, and we're looking at possibilities and have been working on possibilities with that as well. So it's a very valid point that's being brought up. Any further discussion on the amendment as presented? Councillor Martell.
Mayor Blair, could we have it up on the screen so we could see the amendment,
I
please?
think that would be helpful.
There you are. And our CAO, please.
Thank you. And so I'm just gonna follow up on the comment that the solicitor was making, that I think that you kind of have two motions, so right up until the last piece. So there's a motion on the policy and then there's an action item. So I think that last piece is a separate action item outside of the actual policy that you're voting on. So you could consider just removing that last bullet. And then, so that's the policy is everything but that last bullet, and then that last bullet is an action that then you're requesting to come back with some further solutions to the space issues.
So I just move that from my motion.
Correct?
Yes.
Correct.
The mover and the seconder are,
I-
I know you have. The mover and the seconder are comfortable with removing that last statement. Councillor Leggett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm not opposed to people working at home, as long as the work gets done, as people have reiterated. My only concern is the interface between people who interact with different departments or call in or come to visit to looking for something. Will they get serviced? You know, what's the conduit? If you're dealing with a person in XYZ department on something, what's your conduit if that person's working at home? Who is there adequate staff to multitask those files to other people? Working for the government for as long as I have, these things all tend to go in silos. And nobody else knows what that person's job is. So if I were to call in, if I wanted a building permit, that person's working from home, can I still talk to them when they're working at home? Thank you.
I'll get the CAO to address that, please.
Thank you very much. So through the chair, a couple of key components. And first of all, the policy, each director would have the discretion of saying, if this wouldn't work in their section, to say it's not going to work. So the work and the work getting done has to trump all the other prerequisites. The second component to this, though, is absolutely individuals working remotely still have to have the ability to talk to, communicate with anybody. So to your point, if somebody came in, had a query, that query, if the individual was not there, would need to be passed to that individual, and that individual will be able to communicate back to that person. So you're 100% accurate in that needs to occur. I think the gap or the difference that becomes is that rather than an immediate response, because the person could come up to the counter, there may be a period, and whether it's a call back in 15 minutes or whatever, but yes, that's there.
Further comments? Councillor Benoit.
Thank you, Mayor Blair. I understand that removing that last bullet is because it doesn't pertain to this policy, but are you adding that as a separate motion, or will that come at a later time?
You do.
'Cause I agree with that.
Through the chair, if I could, council.
Yes.
So basically with the adjustment to the policy here and being driven off of the intent that some things to address workspace or the policies we have to accommodate creation of more space. What we'd be taking in this discussion is the direction would be that staff will come back with some other considerations for council coming out of this discussion. So we'll come back with other things for consideration.
Because we did have that on the floor, I think, prior as far as this building. So, okay, thank you.
Yes, you're right, councillor. It's been discussed many times. Yes. And Michelle, please. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Through the chair, I just wanted to flag to council that in council's approved capital budget, there is $150,000 for an architectural review of this building to improve the space. So Public Works has created an internal working group and we're working at coming up with a proposal for council to how can we modify the space and what is the cost going to be? So some of that work is already underway, and so perhaps that addresses Councillor Cooper's second part of his motion, where this plan has already been approved by council in terms of a review, not capital, but just review, and council should be seeing information from the board in the next few months.
Thank you to our Director of Public Works for that comment, and Councillor Kennedy.
I'm a little bit confused now. If there's a research being done on that, isn't that dealing with the space problem? And we got the space problem and the anchor days mixed up in one motion? Because my understanding was they had 1 day a week that they can work at home. Are we changing that to 3? Why?
If I could.
Yes, our CAO, please.
So the original discussion on this was to revert back to the trial policy, which was 3 anchor days and 1 potential day off, and it was either gonna be Monday or Friday. And so this changes that to say that there's the potential of 2 days off, and the only anchor day, or the only day it can't be, is a Tuesday. And all that does is it helps with very specific planning in some of the offices. This other piece is a piece of work, and Councilor Benoit touched on that. This is something that a while ago, there was some direction around space. The previous council had a lot of discussion around new building, old building. But this was a piece of work that was requested around what could we be doing in this existing space to either create better space, and included in that obviously is there will have to be some consideration. Do we need space outside of this building? So is there a need? And so if you think about some municipal units will place, for example, their recreation group might be in a separate building, and that frees up space then for their existing space to be used, offices, meeting rooms, or whatever. So that's part of that planning exercise that's going to come back. So it's separate from the policy, and that even if that is something to pursue, the amount of time will be more than immediate. It will be likely a year or 2 to kind of put those changes in place. The remote work policy gives you flexibility today with what you already have.
Thank you. But I guess the problem I'm having is, and you said it in your own statement, time off, time at home. And we had a research done here, or presentation done. And the data was kind of empty. It was, I asked the people who work at home, how is it working at home? Well, what do you think the answer is going to be? Okay, I'd like to see some more data on how productive it was. What are the consequences? What are the advantages? What are the disadvantages? I never saw any of that. So I can't support the motion of days off. I'm saying what's just told to me in extra lines. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Cooper.
Thank you, Mayor Blair. I'll speak to Councillor Kennedy's concerns.
All right.
The purpose of the amendment was to put the 2 days in place, so make it simple, like if you had an office that usually had 2 people in it, now it's 4. This gives an opportunity for those 2 people to work from home, and 2 people be in the office the way they normally be, and the other 2 days of the week they switch. So instead of having to get another office and put those 2 people in, you can use this as an immediate temporary solution to take care of that overcrowding problem. And the other reason to have it put in place now, I know originally we were gonna just continue the 1 day a week. But I thought if we're gonna see if this is gonna work, might as well have the 2 days in there. Then they come back at the end of it and give us our, really comprehensive analysis of it that we asked for. We should have what we're gonna be dealing with. We have this 1 day, then they're gonna come back and say, well, let's have 1 day work. We think that 2 days will work, but we'll have to look at that. Rather than, why not put it in now, then we can see how it works. In 6 months, we can say, we don't agree, it didn't work, or they can come back and maybe even say to themselves that it's not working. They said, so that's the rationale behind it. The other question I'd like to have is, so just a clarification, what Michelle and her group are working on is gonna address both the architectural part and a full staff review, like space review, like they come back and said, we can do this to the building. We still need 14 people to go somewhere else, and here's what we think that can take care of that. Is that gonna be part of that?
I'll ask our Director of Public Works, Michelle, please.
Through the chair, so yes, that will be the intent to see, you know, what can we do to maximize what we have here? And then what can we do to use some of our outside facilities to supplement space?
Do we have any timeframes to when you might have a show?
Not at this point, but as the project moves ahead, I can provide an update to council.
That's why I thought it was good to update, take this policy in account right now. It could be a year from now and to try to help out with the whole thing.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Weatherby.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Before we vote, I just would like some clarification. So this will still remain a temporary or an interim situation until we get more data. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, I can support that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Further questions? Were you? No. Any further questions? And are you ready for the question on the amendment? And we're back up and running. We'll use our clickers. Voting is on. Voting has closed. And we have a majority. The motion is carried. The amendment to the motion is carried. We do have the amended motion. And we will vote on that. The motion as amended. The original motion as amended. Voting is open. Voting is closed and the motion carries by majority. Thank you, councillors, for your comments. Very much appreciate it. And Deputy Mayor, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Next item is the equity and anti-racism strategy. I move that council adopts the new equity and anti-racism strategy as presented. Copy of strategy is attached.
Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Johnson. Discussion on the motion. Question has been called.
I just want to come, just one comment here.
Uh,
Oh,
yes,
sorry.
Councillor Kennedy.
On our commitments, I took it a little bit under the chin when they said improving the way our municipalities serve and support our communities. I thought we were doing a good job. Thought we were trying really hard. And now I read here, we got to improve that.
Where are you? What page?
I'm on page 13. Striving to dismantle racism and discrimination and hate. We value our diversity and learn from each other. This includes improving the way our municipalities serve and support our community.
Yes, I'll ask our CAO to address that, please.
Through the chair to council. And so appreciate that we had a working group. This is between municipal units. It certainly did not come back as that folks are not doing a good job. It's about continually always trying to do a better job. So this was the group saying, can we through making changes, continue to make it better for the people working in the environment, people getting services from the environment. So it certainly was not intended to be what we're doing is a bad job. If that's what came across, that wasn't how the group communicated that message back. It's just about continuing, trying to make improvements where you can.
Just to reply to that.
Yes, certainly.
I think there's a better way of saying improving your, anyway, you could work at upgrading, you could work at whatever. Thank you.
Councillor Cooper.
Thank you, Mayor. To speak further on Councillor Kennedy's statement, I think as CO said, what he said makes sense. That's not what this says. So I think I'd have to have that. Councillor Kennedy said, I think that has to be written in a different way than, I'm not saying we're doing a bad job, saying do a good job. I can do a better job. So I can't
Okay.
support it without.
Okay. Any further comments? And we are looking to change the wording in point 2, the first bullet on page 13, where it says improving the way our municipalities serve and support our community, and the word improving be changed. Suggestions?
Is there a motion to amend?
Support?
Don't we do?
Is there a
We,
motion to
no,
amend
there is
this?
no motion to amend. Are you prepared to put a motion to amend, Counselor? And seconded by Counselor Cooper, moved by Counselor Kennedy, seconded by Counselor Cooper, that the motion be amended to with regards to point to number 2 on page 13, the first bullet, and removing the word improving. And what was the suggestion?
Supporting would do it. Supporting the way our municipalities serve our community.
Further support of,
Further support.
continued support,
Continued support, yeah. Any of them.
any of those? What are your wishes, council?
Continue, I think, is a better word.
Continued support?
For our municipalities as they serve our and support our community.
Yeah, Dennis?
Mayor, I'd just point out, this is a regional policy, so amending it here. I
Would
think
be
you
a
would have to go back
recommendation.
to your other partners to have them consider whether they want to also amend it. You can't unilaterally amend it here. What you can do is recommend
Yes, we
in the
would have to
motion that
recommend.
it be amended to include,
Yeah.
but that would start the process back to the other units.
Table. We table
We
the report
could.
pending.
We could table, yeah, we could, but we could also have 2 motions, could we not?
Mhm.
And the first motion would be to support, and the second motion would be that it's recommended that this section be changed. Correct? Dennis, are you comfortable with that? 2 motions?
Well, if you approve it, you approve it. And then you could ask the working group to consider possible recommendations to revise the policy on those points. I guess I'd ask, what if they come back and say no? Does it change the approval? And so it really becomes what you intend by your motion.
Their motion. Right.
Just a moment, Val. Deputy Mayor, please.
Thank you, Mayor.
Your microphone, please.
I'm
Yes.
on?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm okay with the word improving. I think, yes, we're making an effort to our best effort, but we're always learning, we're always educating ourselves, and we can always do better. So I'm fine with the wording, and I should mention that we discussed at our EDIA meeting recently that this particular strategy is going to be adopted by the province as the model for the province. So I think that's kudos to the individuals that were involved in putting this together, that they've done a stellar job, and I'm not opposed to the word improving. I can improve in everything I do on a daily basis, and I don't find that offensive at all. My thoughts.
Further comments? Okay. We have a motion to amend, and that amendment is not something that we can do on our own. It is a regional approach because we have we have other municipalities involved. Dennis, your advice, please, on the motion.
Well, as I understand the amendment, the purpose of the amendment is to make conditional the adoption of the policy to reflect a change in the language on page 13, as the councillors have pointed out. I think council just has to understand they can't change the policy unilaterally, so if it were to be amended, then the motion to approve would also inferentially be refer back to the other partners to see if they're also prepared to amend. That's one way to approach it. You suggested another. Adopt the motion, ask the committee with a follow-up motion to ask the committee to consider the language, or straight out just adopt the motion. Right, so I think those are your options, but simply by amending and adopting it, that doesn't mean the policy changes. I guess it's what I was trying to point out, Mayor.
No, yes.
So I think the amendment would have to be, council will support the motion as amended, on the condition that it also be agreed to by the other municipal units.
For that one word, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a lot of work has gone into this. So we're only looking at one change. Our CAO, please.
Thank you. Just through the chair, some of the folks are aware that the town Truro and town Stewiacke have already approved this as is. So they would need to go back to their councils if an amendment was going to be made to it. So just one for clarity, folks know that they have been through two other councils. So an amendment tonight would require going back to those councils for that to be considered. Versus if it was approved in principle with the working group looking at that wording, that would not require an immediate going back to council. So just want to make sure those are, when you're thinking about those as options. But to the solicitor's point, approving it with an amendment means it actually is then contingent on the other two municipal units who have approved it agree.
And well, you do have a motion on the floor with regards to an amendment, and you have the right to vote yes or no. Councillor Martel.
That was my question, just for clarity, that we would vote on the amendment and then it would fail or pass, and then we would vote on the original.
That's correct. Thank
That's
you. That's the process, yes. Anything further, Dennis? Anything further, our CAO? No? All right, we have an amendment on the floor. Are you ready for the question? Question has been called. And Tracy, please.
Trying to make it
There we go. Vote is closed. And the amendment has been defeated. We go back to the original motion as presented, and we will vote on that.
What is the original?
The original motion, Deputy Mayor, would you read the original motion again, please?
That I move that council adopts the new equity and anti-racism strategy as presented.
Okay. And voting is open. Oops. And voting is closed. Motion carries by majority vote. Thank you, Council. And Deputy Mayor, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Community event grant related to the FIS Wentworth Canada Cup. I move that council approves funding in the amount of $2,500 for the 2026 FIS Wentworth Canada Cup being held in February 26th. They'll have lots of snow.
Seconded by Councillor Martel. Discussion on the motion. Question's been called. All those in favor, sorry. Electronic this time? Okay. And voting is open. Voting is closed. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Deputy Mayor, please.
I'd like to declare conflict for number 5 on our list, please.
And would the record please show that Councillor Martel has recused herself, number 5. And Deputy Mayor, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Amendments to our procurement policy. I move that council approves the amendments to the municipal policy for purchasing and tendering for goods, services, and construction projects as presented.
And
Copy of the policy is attached.
And do I have a seconder for the motion? Seconded by Councillor Richardson. Discussion on the motion? Question has been called and voting is open. Voting is closed and the motion carries. And Councillor Martell's returned to the table. The next item, Deputy Mayor, please.
This is related to our 2026-27 schedule of meetings. I move that council approves the 2026-27 schedule of meetings as presented. Copy of the schedule is attached.
Do I have a seconder for the motion? Seconded by Councillor Patton. And Councillor Cooper.
So I'd like to ask for an amendment to that schedule.
Yes,
The amendment I'd like to have is we had moved council session from 30th of April to the 28th of April due to an FCM conference. Charlene and I are both on the library committee. Library committee had put forward a schedule of meetings last Tuesday of each month. And that falls in that night. And a lot of times those things don't matter a lot. But the meeting this week, which is last Tuesday, we've been working on for a month to try to reschedule it. Because you have 4 municipalities involved, council involved with that and everybody else. We have still not been able to reschedule that meeting. So to try to reschedule that one, then is probably gonna be the same, worse. So just asking council if they be amenable to changing that date to just for ease sake to the Monday, 27th.
so you want it changed from April 28 to April 27 because of conflicts. And want an amendment to the motion or just agree? And does council agree generally with that? Go move to the Monday instead of the Tuesday? And so we would approve the schedule as amended. And the deputy mayor and Councillor Patton, you seconded, you agree with that? All right. Any further discussion on the motion? Question's been called and the voting is up. Voting is closed and the motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. The next item is the Colchester Planning Advisory Committee and the report from the meeting on December 15. I'm going to ask that we have a motion to receive only because we will be discussing the first reading in number 7. So if I could have a motion to receive this report, please.
Motion.
Moved by Councillor Kennedy, seconded by Councillor Johnson. Any discussion on the motion?
Question.
Question has been called and good, Tracy. Voting is open. Voting is closed. And motion carries by majority vote.
You can't abstain. That would be a no.
Majority vote. There's
Yeah.
there are no abstentions.
Right, so.
No vote.
Yeah.
The next item is the Flood Advisory Committee report and recommendation and minutes from January 13. We'll deal first with the Flood Advisory Committee as the The first would be a report and or a recommendation. And from the meeting held on January 13, 2026. The Flood Advisory Committee passed a motion concerning the 2026-2027 budget, recommending the following, and I'm prepared to entertain a motion with regards to that if someone is prepared to put that motion on the floor. Moved by Councillor Patton, seconded by Councillor Cooper, and I'll get you to turn your microphone off, please. That council approve a budget of $100,000 for the 2026-27 operating budget for the Small Flood Damage Reduction Projects Program. Any discussion on that motion? Councillor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. No discussion, but I just want to make a note that we reduced that by $25,000 from the past couple of years. So, just so council is aware. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Any further discussion?
Question.
Question has been called. And voting is on. Voting is closed and motion carries unanimously. The second part of that report is the Flood Advisory Committee minutes from Tuesday, January 13, 2026. And motion to receive would be appropriate. Moved by Councillor Patton, seconded by Councillor Cooper, that the minutes be received as presented. Any discussion on the motion? Question's been called and voting is up. Voting is now closed and motion carries unanimously. The next item is the French River, that's Tatamagouche, Source Water Protection Advisory Committee in the minutes from December 4. And I would like to have a motion to receive those. Information moved by Councillor Martel, seconded by Councillor Benoit. And any discussion on the motion? Any questions? Then voting is open. Is closed and motion carries unanimously. The next item is the Debert Source Water Protection Advisory Committee and minutes from January 13 and 2026. And I would like a motion to receive. Moved by Deputy Mayor Sanderson. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Richardson. Any discussion on the motion? The question has been called. And voting is open. Voting is closed and the motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Council. We'll move on from that to our action items. And the first item is the first reading of the proposed development agreement on lands owned by 4432357 Nova Scotia Limited and Andrew Blackburn, PIDs 2006658, 200690027, and 2040846 in Bible Hill.
I will be recusing.
And let the record show that Councillor Patton has recused herself from the issue. I'm prepared to entertain a motion with regards to this, and we'll put it on the floor for discussion. Councillor Johnson.
It's in the package, but I'll make a motion that PAC committee recommend that council give first reading proposed development agreement and authorize a second reading and a public hearing after that.
I'm sorry, what? That PAC, did you say?
Or,
That council.
oh, the council, sorry.
Yeah. So that council approves at first reading the application for the proposed development agreement as presented.
Yeah.
For purposes of forwarding this document to a public hearing, reserving consideration of the proposed development agreement until second reading following the public hearing. Is that the motion that you were putting on the floor?
That's not what I got. That's what I'll take. Someone else wants to make it, they can read it, but that's not what I read. Let Councilor Cooper make it. You get it right.
No, no, this.
No, this is the proposed motion.
Let me bring it up. That is what I want to make it a motion.
$87.
There. So council approves at first reading the application for the proposed development agreement as presented for purposes of forwarding this document to a public hearing. Reserve consideration of proposed development agreement until second reading following the public hearing.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Richardson. Any discussion on the motion? This is basically to move to second reading. And are you ready for the question? Question. Okay. Voting is up. Voting is now closed and the motion carries. Thank you, Council. And Councillor Patton, you can return to the table. The next item is the Truro Housing Outreach Society Coldest Night of the Year. And I would be prepared to entertain a motion to bring this on the floor. And you're moving what, Councillor Patton?
To approve the request for funding. I don't have it written.
That council grants authority to February Council Committee to award a community event grant from the Truro Housing Outreach Society for the Coldest Night of the Year event. Is that your motion?
That's my motion.
And do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Cooper. And discussion on the motion. I know that I have Paul here to answer any questions. Councillor Weatherby.
Just a comment, Madam Chair, that I think this is a worthwhile cause and we're doing something good here, but I would appreciate if they didn't give us a token again this year. It was nice of them to offer a thank you is all that's necessary. We don't need a beanie. I don't think that's appropriate that they waste their money giving tokens back to us.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Councillor. I appreciate that comment. Councillor Patton.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to Councillor Weatherby. I actually brought those back. They had boxes and boxes left over, so I just grabbed enough for members of this council and I thought you'd appreciate it. And it wasn't intended as thank you for the money. It was just they had boxes of hats left over.
And there's lots of cold winter nights yet.
Absolutely, there is, but they didn't seem to know what they were gonna do with all of them, so I just grabbed 11.
Bring mine back, you can add that.
That's great. That would be great.
All right, any further discussion? Ready for the question? Okay, voting is up. Voting is now closed and the motion carries unanimously. And the next item was added to the agenda, and that is the 2026 FCM Conference in Edmonton, Alberta. And it is scheduled for June 4 to 7, 2026. And as you see, councillors, you have council, our policy is that we send delegates from this council. Mayor, deputy mayor, and 3 councillors have the opportunity to attend all FCM conferences. Our CAO usually attends as well. So first, I think what we need to know is who would be available to attend. So Councillor Richardson, Councillor Johnson, Councillor Benoit, Councillor Patton. Oops. And And we can grant authority to February council committee to approve attendees. And our CAO, please.
Thank you. So, we have, 3 spots, available. Unless, council chose to discretionarily add one more. Typical process on this has been that the names come forward if one individual or more individuals than were typically approved. What would normally happen is that individual would then be available for the next FCM that would be coming in the following year.
Great. So, are we ready then? We'll. You're voting? Are we voting on the names? We need,
No, so we
need,
have 4 names right now.
okay,
We need
we've got
3.
4 names now. We need 3.
Yeah.
Do we have an,
We
yeah, we'll do a draw. That's right.
Okay.
And don't we have an alternate? Don't we usually name an alternate just in case?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So we'll do a draw. We have the names. We've got 4 names and we'll do a draw. Someone who's not attending. Dennis, you get to do the draw.
That's either a record album or the counselor for District 8. It says LP. MB,
Councillor Benoit,
yeah. And SR, counselor,
Councillor
senior,
Richardson.
and then the last one,
Could be the alternate.
TJ.
So then we have Councillor Patton. Councillor Benoit. Councillor Richardson. And alternate Councillor Johnson. And so the motion is that council approves councillors Patton, Benoit, Richardson to attend the 2026 FCM Conference and Trade Show, in addition to the mayor, deputy mayor, and CAO. And that councillor Johnson serve as an alternate in the event that any of those selected are unable to attend. And is someone prepared to put that motion on the floor? Councillor Weatherby, seconded by Deputy Mayor Sanderson. Any discussion on the motion?
Right.
And the voting is up. And motion carries unanimously. Thank you, council. We'll move on to our correspondence. And this correspondence action, the first item is an email from Victoria Lomond of Steps on Arthur. And it's an email dated January 8, 2026, regarding a proposal to include a community resource insert in our municipal newsletter. Councillor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll make a motion that we send this to staff to have a look at it and see if we can grant this request, or at least have a look at it back and let us know what they can do.
Seconder, seconded by Councillor Benoit. Any discussion on the motion? Councillor Cooper.
Well, just a quick thought. She gives some examples here. Our newsletter is quite extensive now. I think, that's my thoughts to say. I agree to send with staff's thoughts. I think doing this every newsletter would be kind of redundant and take away from everything else on the newsletter. We may even want to do a special little booklet we send out to everybody or something like that. Because it's, I know that I always read it, I don't think everybody else always reads it. Yeah, have it 30 pages every time. I think it's gonna take away from that. So that's just my thoughts.
Thank you. Councillor Benoit.
Thank you, Mayor Blair. I looked at it and I thought it was a great idea. I think anytime we can bring more information out to our public, whether they read it or not, I tried at my town hall. I received some of the 2-on-1 packets. I don't know if people have looked at those, but there also have a lot of information that's in there that's great for people to have. So, and I often refer that when residents call me asking for questions. So I agree. Our newsletters we have now, I think, are fantastic. The staff that does them does a great job. And maybe we can't obviously put everything into there, but I think whether I agree with Councillor Cooper, I think that's a great idea as well. And I think staff will come up with some great options, but I think whether we do it in that aspect by a separate booklet, or we just maybe every other, whenever we put out the newsletter, maybe we just take a few of these key options and put them in there, I think is a great idea regardless, just getting the information out there. Thanks.
Thank you. Further discussion? Then there is a motion that we refer to staff. And are you ready for the question?
Question.
The question's been called, the voting is up. And the motion carries unanimously. The next item is a letter dated January 9, 2026, requesting a proclamation for Wear Red Canada Day. And motion to proclaim or not? I'm prepared to entertain a motion. Deputy Mayor Sanderson.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I move that Colchester County proclaim February 13th, 26 as Wear Red Canada Day.
Okay, thank you. And seconded. Councillor Patton. Any discussion on the motion? Councillor Benoit.
Thank you. I just have to ask this because, and maybe I should have asked this in my first term, but when we do these proclamations, what happens? Like, what's the steps? Because I know we approve and that, but what actually comes out of that?
And Dan, you just turned it off.
Oh, I'm good at that. Through the chair. So essentially a proclamation, normally what happens is those references, then the groups can basically say, these are all the organizations that support what we're trying to do.
Okay.
So when they're doing campaigns, fundraising, whatever. I know recognizing sometimes with proclamation, say something's read out and there's a sheet of paper, but essentially that document allows them to say, I have the support of that organization.
Okay, so there's nothing that we do beyond giving that support, like we don't do anything on that day specifically or that.
Typically, I'm sorry, through the chair.
Okay.
So typically if a proclamation said, would you put blue lights in the building or something like that, then we would follow that action.
That's right.
But normally it's just the actual proclamation, which then gives the group the ability to say exactly supportive.
That if I'm
And we have our flag raising for African Heritage Month it'll be the 3rd of February now because of the proposed or potential or whatever, another snowstorm on Monday. We'll be having that at 1 o'clock on Tuesday, the 3rd of February here, our flag raising, and I will read that proclamation that we passed. So when you have something like that, the proclamation would be actually read.
Great.
If you're accompanying it with a flag raising and people present, yeah. So we do have a motion on the floor. And the voting is up. Motion carries unanimously. The next item is from Pam McIntosh, our Manager of Planning Services, memo dated January 21, concerning a rezoning application by Scott Hill Import Heaven Auto Services for land in Greenfield. And the proposal is that we refer to Planning Advisory Committee, and I'm prepared to entertain a motion. Moved by Councillor Leggett, seconded by Councillor Benoit, that this be sent to the Planning Advisory Committee. Any discussion on the motion?
Question.
Question's been called and voting is up. Voting is closed and the motion carries unanimously. The next item is from Megan Todd, the head coach of the Truro Centurion Swim Club, an email to the mayor requesting a letter of support in support of their grant application to revitalize the scoreboard, timing system, and starting blocks at the rec. And the motion would be determined by council, and I'm prepared to entertain a motion. Councillor Weatherby.
So moved that we support this
Putting a letter of support forward.
letter of.
All right, thank you. Seconded by Deputy Mayor Sanderson. Any discussion on the motion? Councillor Cooper.
Yeah, if I can get some clarity, so the letter of support, getting money from where, what grant?
And our CAO, please.
Through the chair. So yeah, I don't believe they identified in their letter where they were going. The assumption I would have that these would be likely provincial funds and just looking for a letter of support in their effort. They weren't specific. And it certainly didn't appear to be directed at a contribution from the municipality. So it sounded like they were going somewhere else looking for that.
Okay, so secondly, it, in the letter, it says the grant requires us to have a lease agreement to install new equipment. Yeah, own the facility in case, in this case, we do not. So are we stating that we read it in the lease too?
And our CAO.
So any kind of a lease agreement at the facility would then go forward. Be a separate piece that the board would have to consider.
Right, yeah, right, thank you.
Okay. Any further questions? Councillor Martel.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Any further questions or discussion? And are you ready for the question? Question's been called and voting is now open. Voting is closed and the motion carries unanimously. We'll do a letter of support. Councillor Martel.
I have a clarifying question that I'm hoping you'll be able to answer, or the CAO or Dennis. So as a new counselor for the past year, when constituents have come to me and they've said they want to communicate with council as a whole and share the issues, as I am only one person on council, my practice has been that I would tell them to write a letter to the mayor and council as a whole, and that letter would become a matter of record. And at our last meeting, I did ask about setting a policy and we made a motion about that. But in the past few weeks, we have received letters from Shelley DeViller on behalf of 4-H, a number of letters about rec governance from John Kelderman, Andrew Lake, and others, which are not part of this correspondence package for council today. So I guess, am I giving the wrong message to people that when they write to us that their letters become a matter of record and they come to council at the table? Or can you please share with me the concept that I should be sharing?
Our CAO, please.
Thank you. So it often depends on the letter when it comes in. So for example, if someone was looking for information with regards to an arrangement with 4-H. So that letter, because the arrangement as it exists would be or where it was between the farm loan board and the society, then those would be the groups involved. So that wouldn't be a council related item, that would be a society related item. If an individual were to have a position that they were looking to present to council, to your point, that the advice you give is what I understand most counselors are giving. Write a letter to council and then that gets circulated. The circulation, sometimes though, individuals are either sending an email, and if there's an email that's going to all of council, then it'd be redundant to then take it back as a letter to council. Also sometimes, and so to the discussion we had around a policy, the clarity around when and where might be a piece that we want to talk a little deeper around. But normally when letters come in, if it's already been circulated to council, or if we do end up circulating it to council, then that is normally the distribution form. If it hasn't gone through that process, then it normally comes in as part of the package. So yes, it's a little inconsistent in the process, and I understand that's kind of where we want to get more crunchy. And so that's the piece we'll be coming back with that. But also, a lot of times when a document will come in, it is typically something that, while someone will say council, it's often something that can be addressed even at an operational level. And generally what'll happen is if that's where something can be diverted and a dialogue happens, we let that work out first before it will go anywhere else. Oh, that's helpful.
Thank you for your time in answering that.
Thank you. Yes, correspondence is an interesting thing. The next item, of course, in correspondence is our information correspondence. And we have the reports from our development officer and building inspector, and the activity report for November and December of 2025. You can see a lot of activity there. One of the things that stood out for me was roof-mounted solar. And in the first report, the development activity report, I think there were 15 notifications that people were putting roof-mounted solar on buildings. So I thought that was very positive. Any questions with regards to these reports? I see none. So I would ask for a motion, and I'll put the two of them together. A motion to receive. Moved by Councillor Kennedy, seconded by Deputy Mayor Sanderson. Any discussion on the motion? Question's been called and voting is up. Voting is now closed and the motion carries unanimously. The next item of information is a letter dated January 2, 2026, seeking support for roof repairs. And this is from Beth McMichael, the Royal Canadian Legion Branch 106 Debert. And given the fact that Ms. McMichael will be doing a presentation scheduled for February 3rd, the evening of February 3rd, Tuesday, I'm suggesting to council that we defer any action until we get the presentation and hear what is being said. We'll be able to ask questions and of Ms. McMichael and Councillor Patton or Councillor Benoit.
I agree. That's what I was gonna ask as well.
Okay, thank you. So all I need is an agreement with council, and then we will deal with it at a later date. So anyone opposed to that? Oh, so we have full agreement that we will look at that after February 3rd. Thank you, council. Moving on to information items. The next item is active transportation strategy update, and that is a nice big document that I hope you've all had an opportunity to go through. We do have Kayla here this evening, and it is an information item, but I know that Kayla McClellan is here to answer any questions. If anyone has any questions with regards to the active transportation strategy update. Councillor Benoit.
Thank you, Mayor Blair. I don't have any questions. I just wanted to say to Kayla that I applaud you and your team for all the work that you put into this. between all the opportunities for the public to be involved were fantastic. I myself enjoyed the sessions with the walkthrough and then the public engagement sessions to bring people together. And the report I found was extremely informative, great works, and looks like the comments were captured from the public in your barriers and opportunities. So I just want to say thanks for everything that you've done with this.
Thank you. Councillor Martel.
Through you, Claire and Kayla, I want to echo Councillor Benoit's comments. It was absolutely wonderful to have you come to the Tatamagouche area and spend time with about a dozen of our residents, and it really did percolate some conversation around crosswalks and the need for more sidewalks and what the future of our village could look like with a strategy around active transportation, working with our village commission. So again, I just want to thank you and applaud your work on this.
Thank you. Any further comments? Deputy Mayor Sanderson.
Thank you, Mayor. Through you to Kayla, again, congratulations, you've come a long way.
Yes.
Time. Sorry, I didn't get to the walk audit because we had a council meeting that night. It was called kind of unexpectedly, but there were only 4 or 5 people, I think, from the lower Truro area, Truro Heights, that showed up, which was disappointing to me. But just wondered, I haven't read every detail of this. Have there been many comments on the bridge across the river at the Discovery site?
Through the
Kayla,
chair,
please. Yes.
there was only comments actually made at the Debert walk. That was the only time it was brought up, sort of as a question. Are we taking money from improving our roads or other infrastructure to build this bridge? So we were able to talk about the funding streams and how that project has received substantial funding from external sources. And we're certainly not taking money from improving our roads and putting it towards that project.
Any follow-up?
Yes, certainly.
I thought I counted 400 to 500 respondents, which out of 36,000 is pretty poor. And we had the same, didn't we, Paul, with our municipal planning strategy. We were disappointed in the number that came out. So I know we have a lot of active people in our community, and where were they during all this, where they could have input? I was disappointed in that, but I'm sure the people that have showed up have given very good feedback to you. So encourage.
Thank you, Deputy. Paul, any comments?
Not really, but other than to say, yeah, I mean, the feedback that we received for the active transportation strategy was probably double what we had for the countywide planning process, which is, and I think what you found, I mean, I've attended a couple of the open house sessions, well attended. There seems to be a lot of enthusiasm around active transportation. Those that participate are fully engaged, so it really has been a worthwhile process.
Thank you, Paul. And one of the biggest challenges when it comes to roads, as we all know, is that the average citizen sees a pothole in the road and they come to the closest person, the person that's basically municipal government front lines. So they don't think that those roads are not ours to do anything with. For example, the provincial roads. Pictou Road, for example, has a bunch of holes in it, and the bridge over the Salmon River has got all kinds of holes in it. And so we deal with the provincial government and ask for help to get some of those things addressed. The challenge, of course, this time of year with all kinds of potholes and so on, is getting cold pack in it that doesn't last very long. So really, when you're looking at money for roads, the majority of it does not come through the municipal unit. So that's a challenge in itself, explaining the different roads. But thank you very much for being here tonight, and thank you for answering that. Yes.
If I just may, I want to highlight that, I'm here tonight and attended the walks, but this project is very much a partnership with community development, and Katie Price is also coordinating a lot of those events that you attended.
Yes. Yes, and and she's chair of our EDIA committee as well, which, as you can see just from the pictures, that we're looking at all types of accessibility on whatever we do with regards to active transportation. So thank you so much. I appreciate your being here. See no other questions. Okay. The next item on our agenda is our reports from our council members, and I thank you all for the reports that you have submitted since December. November 27 actually, it was our last meeting, and that's 2 months, but of course with the Christmas holidays, and I hope each of you had an absolutely wonderful holiday with family and friends. And here we are at the end of the first month of a new year, which is hard to believe. Does anyone have any questions on any of these reports? I have one, and I'm going to address it to Councillor Weatherby. On page 12 of the Northern Region, August to October 2025 report, under Colchester, Colchester is required to engage 553 students and currently sits at 1591. You have actually made contact with 1591 students? Is that the way I'm reading it?
For education people have, yeah.
Yes.
They've done. an amazing
Fantastic.
job.
That is fantastic. I mean, that stood out to me because it's 3 times your goal. That's wonderful. That's,
They do a great job. And, kudos.
yes, that is really excellent and delighted to hear it. Appreciate having those minutes of the Northern Region Waste Resource Committee attached to your reports. Councillor Weatherby, thank you for that. Any other comments or questions? And thank you, councillors, for your reports. It certainly keeps us informed, and I appreciate all the work that you're doing. The next item on the agenda is a motion to go in camera. Moved by Councillor Richardson, seconded by Councillor Sanderson. We are now in camera, and we'll take a 10-minute break.
Focus over here.
Oh, nice. Oh,
You can't have it.